Dude, Saquon is going hard right now. Hello and welcome back to the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host, TB. I got my co-host, my producer extraordinaire, my Angels fan, Broncos fan, closet Rams fan. What am I missing?
The
Lakers fan,
master of the grills. Oh yeah, Lakers
master of the
fan for sure.
grills. Yeah, I was thinking
If you're
sports
going
teams,
Lakers,
but
you can go Russell Westbrook
Russell
Stan. You like
Westbrook
that one?
stand
You
for
like that one?
sure. Uh, closet Texas Longhorns fan. Uh, and overall, one of the best people we all know. It's Joey. What's up, Joe?
Not much, man. You know, speaking of that Russell Westbrook jersey I own, I actually bought it, or it arrived at my house 2 years ago. I have a Snapchat memory that popped up, so I mean that was cool. But I mean it's going well. We had some crazy games this week. A lot of things happening that we never thought would. And we have that later in the podcast as well. I will bring up, but as always, what happened with your game last week, man?
Oh, Friday was enough, right? Rough night for your boy. Not a fun time. We lost 54-6.
Ooh, that's
Um,
dirty.
basically every defensive coordinator's worst nightmare is what happened to me. Couldn't
Uh-huh.
stop power and counter. So
Oh, so you talked about that last week too, that they were just gonna run back and forth all night.
exactly what I said I was worried about happening is what happened. They were just more physical than us. They
Uh-huh.
were more disciplined. They really, unfortunately, they outclassed us in a lot of ways. I mean, they just played better. I mean, they
Yeah.
played their best game, and we played our worst.
Uh-huh.
Especially defensively. I mean, offensively we struggled, but defensively, you always feel like defensively, if you could just keep your team in the game, you give your offense a chance even when they're not playing well, and
Yeah.
we didn't do that at all. So I was pretty disappointed with our effort,
Uh-huh.
just in terms of being disciplined, reading our keys, getting to the right spots. We weren't getting
Yeah.
over on down blocks with our backers, which is all we
I was
worked
gonna
all week
say.
long. DBs did a decent job of setting an edge, but then on play action pass, eyes were bad getting
Oh,
beat.
okay.
So it's just all the
Yeah.
worst stuff. We got 3 interceptions. We forced some takeaways. I don't
Oh,
know
there you
why
go.
they ever even threw, but and we did block 3 kicks. So
Wow.
like
Special teams was doing well, huh? Well,
there's some positives, but
yeah.
overall it was a rough night for us. We come back this week, big game, and they're all big from here on out. But
Yeah, I
if
was
we
gonna
just
say
win
the same exact thing.
we win one more game, we clinch a playoff spot
Oh,
essentially.
there you go.
Not
That's not bad.
officially, but when it's
Pretty
like
much.
99% kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if we win this week, we kind of 99% clinch one. So and I think we
Okay.
have a good shot to do it. The team we played last week was a really good football team. We would have had to play our best to beat them. This week, I think it's a little bit more of a favorable matchup for us in terms of what they do versus what we do, and
Uh-huh.
so we're definitely still gonna have to stop power and counter though, defensively, and force
Yeah,
some throws.
especially if the team see that weakness, they might just throw that in the mix too.
If I was another team scouting us right now, all I would do is run power and counter
Yeah.
and say, "Stop it," because we
Figure it
we
out.
we've done a good job against basically everything else.
Uh-huh.
Scramble drill has hurt us because we have bad eyes in the secondary a lot of
Yeah.
times. So we'll lose our man in scramble drill, but that's not really a play you can call and design. You know,
Yeah.
the,
It
the
just
the
happens.
plays that have hurt us have really been pullers. We do
Okay.
not play well against pullers.
Is
We
that
crush.
just the line not having like good reads or just not being able to contain?
I think some of it is our ends get upfield, right? They don't
Uh-huh.
read the fact that their tackles down blocking and squeeze. You have bad eyes
Yeah.
there. Then our backers don't play with disciplined eyes. They don't see the guards pull and get over the top of the down block.
Okay. Yeah.
And then sometimes it's our secondary doesn't come down and fit. When we're spilling everything to the secondary guys, those guys don't come down and fit. So It's a
Okay.
combination of things, but mostly what it comes down to is just poor eye discipline, not reading our keys from every
Yeah.
level of the defense. And that's annoying because that's something we work every single day.
Yeah. No, I
So
know. That was
it's
definitely
one of
how we
those
started our practices back in the day too.
it's one of those deals where you're like, okay, if we work this every day and it's not showing up in the game, then like what is the disconnect between practice and the
Yeah.
game? And that's the thing I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out right now. I think
You gotta get on that scout
um
O. Tell them
yeah,
to
it's
work better.
it's back to basics for sure this week for us defensively. So, but I think we had a good shot to go get a win. So,
There you go. And get one step closer to that playoff spot, huh? And
yeah,
speaking of playoffs, we got a little playoff picture after the first 6 weeks we can get into around the league. Let's
yeah,
see. The
playoffs.
NFC, yeah. The NFC picture is looking like we got the Eagles, Niners, and Lions all tied at 5-1 right now. Spoiler alert: the Eagles and Niners lost this week. We got the Bucks leading the NFC South at 3-2, trailing those three teams. See, wild card would look like it would be the Seahawks, Cowboys, and Rams right now. And I believe those are they also 3-2. I know the Rams are three and
The
three, but
the Seahawks and Cowboys are both 3-2. The Cowboys will
mhm,
play tomorrow night with the Chargers. The
there you
Rams
go.
are 3-3. They win the tiebreaker with the Commanders, Falcons, and Saints, who are all also 3-3 by virtue of
Okay,
conference record.
gotcha.
They
Okay,
have the best conference record of those four teams right now, so that's why the Rams are technically in the seventh spot as of today. But obviously, those Commanders, Falcons, Saints are all right there,
true.
and then the Packers are 2-3 on their bye week this week, also
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, some sneaky teams right there. Commanders be lighting up the stage. They dropped like 24 or 28 today, I believe. 24. It was 24-16.
Mm-hmm.
Falcons is who they played. And spoiler alert, we finally got my first L. But
Ooh,
yeah. But moving ahead to the AFC picture for the first 6 weeks, we got the Chiefs and Dolphins tied at first, both 5-1, correct? Am I not
mm-hmm.
mistaken? Yeah, and then we
Mm-hmm.
got the Ravens and Jags, both tied for the third spot at 4-2. Let's see, where am I at? We got the wild card teams that would be the Steelers, Bills, and Browns at the moment. And as you said, we got the Colts, Texans, Jets, Raiders, Bengals, Chargers, all just sitting right there on the edge of making it in for that seventh and probably sixth spot at the moment.
Yeah. Well, we got the Bills are playing right now against the
True.
Giants,
The
and the
Giants.
Bills are currently losing to the Giants
Wow.
6-0. Yeah, on Sunday Night
And
Football, which was a game. It was the highest
no
line
one
of the
had on their
year.
radar.
The Giants missing their quarterback. The
Yeah.
Bills coming off a loss in London. Everyone kind of anticipating Sunday Night Football at home. They're going to bounce back. The Giants' offensive
Hmm.
line has been horrendous.
But
Not having their
Saquon's back.
quarterback makes it worse. Yeah, but the line was 15.5.
Yeah, crazy.
Um, and right now, the Giants' defense has been playing really well. The Bills' offense is back to their old troubles. Not that I've seen has there been a Josh Allen turnover yet, but
Okay.
just struggling, not able to run the ball, getting one
Uh-huh.
dimensional, throwing the ball too much right now. And then the
That
Giants are
makes
just
sense.
pounding the rock with Saquon, doing their thing, keeping the Bills off the field, and they've kicked two
Being
field
nitty
goals.
gritty. Yeah.
I mean, this has been the formula all day, by the way, for all of this. If the Giants can hold on, which it's still early, we're not
Yeah.
even at halftime yet. But the storyline of the day: no more unbeaten teams, and it was basically upset Sunday, right? We had the
True. Yeah.
Browns with their backup quarterback and the Jets with their backup quarterback upsetting two of the best
Hmm.
teams in the NFL, undefeated Eagles and Niners. And then tonight you have the Giants with their backup quarterback playing very well on the road at the Bills right now. So kind of an interesting Sunday, upset Sunday, if you will.
There you go. Put a tile on it, stamp it. Upset Sunday. Did Zach Wilson get hurt and that's why he came in, or did you just bench him?
No, Jack Wilson's the backup to Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
Oh,
he
okay,
is the backup
okay.
quarterback. I know
Gotcha,
he's
gotcha.
been the starter for the last few weeks,
Yeah,
but he really is still technically the backup to
that
Rodgers.
is
He
true.
wasn't
That is
their
true.
Their first choice, I guess I
Okay,
should say.
yeah, I was like, I could have sworn he was playing, but maybe he got
No.
hurt late in that game. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, and then PJ Walker came in for the Browns, helped lead them to a victory. Close one, we'll get into later from me as well. You know, I got a lot of things I prepared from some games this week.
Hmm.
But more news around the league. We got where am I? Injuries in that Niners game versus the Browns. We got Debo hurting his shoulder. Christian McCaffrey hurt his oblique. And then Trent Williams, he hurt his ankle. I thought it was his knee when I saw that play happen. Luckily, it was his
Hmm.
ankle. And then
Yeah,
he came back in later on in the game, but he did take a seat for a little bit.
true. Um, Even more interesting in that game, after having 3 touchdowns the week before, George Kittle was non-existent this week.
Mm-hmm.
You had all
Yeah.
the injuries, and then Brock Purdy probably had his worst game of his NFL career 1 week after
Yeah.
having arguably the best game of his career. And, we went from like, okay, Brock Purdy, he's the guy, to like, didn't look as good today.
Yeah,
And
he
we're
had
back
some
to,
questionable throws, some plays
mhm,
where he's getting tackled and he's just trying to force it out of there. Got a
mhm,
couple intentional groundings, just making some poor decisions down the stretch.
agreed. It is interesting. We still don't really feel like we have an answer on him, despite how well he's played. He still has
Uh-huh.
some rough moments, some young guy moments, maybe.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Um, and it remains to be seen whether or not he's good enough in that 49ers offense to actually take them to the place they want to go.
I mean, he made it to the NFC Championship last week before he hurt his elbow. I mean, or not last week, last year, sorry. That'd be wild. We had the playoffs in week 5. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely doable. It's just like we said, there's some things that make him look young still, you know. And I
Hmm.
mean, this is his first loss in the regular season, so we'll see how he bounces back next week.
Yeah, yeah. I think the next thing coming out of today, the Eagles' offense, right? It struggled. It's not been as efficient as it was,
Yeah,
and
that's for sure.
it finally showed today in terms of the scoreboard. Hurts threw 3 picks. They had a real rough stretch, throughout that game against the Jets defense that was banged up. They did not have Sauce Gardner.
Oh, I
They
didn't
didn't
know
have
that.
either. Yeah, they didn't have either of their 2 top corners today. They were on their 2 backups, and that Jets
I
defense
guess
still got it done.
I was gonna say it's
Um,
got to be that front 7, aka the rushers as well, with their guy Q Ball leading that pack, huh?
yeah, and I mean, I will be interested to see what happens with the Eagles moving forward because they have a rough stretch
Yeah,
ahead of them.
that's for
They're
sure.
going to be playing their next 7 opponents are versus the Dolphins, at the Commanders, versus the Cowboys, at the Chiefs, versus the Bills, versus the 49ers, at the Cowboys again. Their next 7 opponents are combined 24-9 this year.
Ooh.
None have losing records as of now, and 3 of those teams are 5-1.
Yeah, that's gonna be some gritty games. I mean, all their
That
games have been close already, but those teams are all definitely like playoff teams, except for
that
maybe like the Commanders are close. They might be a wild card right there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that stretch and they've struggled against the Commanders for the most part,
Yeah,
for a
no,
good chunk
exactly.
of
They play
the
them
last
well.
couple of years. Even though they've been very good, you look at that and you're asking yourself, like, even a good team maybe goes 4-3, 5-2,
Yeah.
but 4-3, 3-4 feels kinda likely in that stretch, and we may be sitting here a few weeks from now asking, "Hey, what's wrong with the Eagles?" And it might not necessarily be that something's
There's
wrong.
anything wrong, yeah.
They have a tough schedule coming up. And their secondary against that Dolphins offense next week, oof, good luck.
Mhm.
Um, and just in general, I think the other storyline coming out of today, as I said, it was sort of upset Sunday,
Yeah.
as the Giants and Bills approach the 2-minute warning here. Giants have the ball, still up 6-0, but just parity in the NFL in general right now. It feels like it's at one of the best places we've been in a long time. A lot of teams could make a case as the best team right now.
Yeah,
We
that's for
have
sure.
5
Is it 5?
one-loss teams,
Yeah.
and then you've got a couple more 2-loss teams, and then from there, feels like a lot of teams could at least make a
In the
case for
mix
being a
at the
playoff
moment.
team.
Yeah.
At this point, that 7 playoff spots looks good right about now because I think there's going to be a lot of teams competing for the playoffs in both conferences down to the wire. I would imagine both 7 seeds are going to be 10-7 this year, and maybe at worst 9-8. I don't think
Yeah.
we're going to get a team with, an
Lose
8-9
record outside of,
record
like,
in the
maybe
playoffs
a
this year.
division winner.
No,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of really good teams in the league this year, and so it'll be very interesting to see, where things move forward from here. I would imagine this makes for a great playoffs, and if you're the NFL, you're loving this.
Yeah, but one last note before we get into this fantasy update. I will say a little ribbon on your upset weekend. There was 6 teams this week that had fewer wins than their opponents that all won, being the
Nice.
Bengals, Browns, Texans, Jets, and the Commanders. So there's some truth to that statement right there. But this week in fantasy, between me and you, it looks like you're probably going to run away with this one. I'm up 123 to 94 at the moment. You got Saquon and Stephon. Stephon is your man as of Justin Jefferson being hurt. So you could thank that man for stepping up for you. And we'll see how it finishes out this week. At the moment, your highest scores are Travis Kelce, 21.4, and Patty Mahomes, 17.34. And then Jamar Chase, it'd be Harrison Butker, the kicker, at 18. And for me, it's Jalen Hurts, 19.9. I guess there's 3 top ones, and then the kicker. We got 27.8 for Guy Coop. And then A.J. Brown, 20.1. And then outside of those 3, we got Justin Tucker, 19 points. Big week for the kickers, for sure.
Big week, for sure.
And then
Shout out to
me
Cooper
hurting
Kupp.
on the
He's
bench.
back, baby.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
What a
But
dog.
me hurting on the bench, Tyreek Hill, 28.3. Should have drafted him in the start.
Oof. Tough one.
Yeah, no, these are my rules, man. I made this up, and I
know.
can't even do it properly. Crazy.
Love it. Love to see it. All right, so we decided for today that our interesting segment
Intro
of the
topic,
week
yeah.
is going to be the opposite of what we did a couple weeks ago. We named the top 3 contenders in every conference. Today, we want to identify the worst teams in both conferences, and really, we want to start thinking about who's going to get that number 1 pick, who's going to be the team that likely drafts Caleb Williams, although
I was going to say
just
the
like to
quote-unquote tank for Caleb.
I'd just like to insert an aside here really quick. Caleb Williams was absolutely terrible against Notre Dame this weekend.
Notre Dame?
Yeah, he was bad. I mean, threw 3 interceptions. He threw a lot of bad throws off his back foot. He did not look like the number 1 pick. I'm not saying that means he won't be the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that means he's going to be a bust. I marked it down in my head so that when we get to draft time, I'm going to remind myself not just to just presume that Caleb Williams is the best quarterback. I'm going to go back and watch unbiased and really try and decide, March and April who the best quarterback in the draft is. It may still turn out to be Caleb Williams. I'm just telling you, I'm not making that presumption anymore after what I saw against Notre Dame. Just FYI.
Does that mean Drake May is taking the rise up?
Drake May did play really well against Miami. He's been playing really well. There's a lot of – I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to rattle off some names.
Let's hear
in
it.
this potentially in this QB cast. We've got Williams, Drake May.
Shador,
Michael Penix Jr.
One being thrown out. Where's he? I don't know who that is.
UW.
UW. Okay, yeah. It's
right now, he might be the guy who's in the lead for the Heisman. Just so
really?
you know. Yes.
Okay. I need to put my eyes over there in Washington, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Get him on the radar.
Bo Nix at Oregon.
Makes sense.
Shador Sanders at Colorado. J.J. McCarthy at Michigan. Quinn Ewers at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm forgetting, I think, maybe one more somewhere. I don't want to disrespect anybody. But that's what I just named, like 7 guys
I was going to say like
all
8, I think.
Really, really good players. Sam Hartman at Notre Dame. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that could potentially come out this year.
Are these
guys
all
like
seniors or a mix of juniors?
It's a
in them two.
mix. So
Okay.
like JJ McCarthy's a junior, Shador is a junior, um, Caleb Williams is a junior, Drake May is
Oh,
actually a
no way. I
junior.
thought he was older.
So, but I think everyone presumes Williams and May will definitely come out.
Uh-huh.
McCarthy, Shador is kind of a maybe. Quinn Ewers, we assume, will come out. Michael Penix Jr. is definitely he's a senior. He'll be out. Bo Nix, same thing. He's a senior. He'll be out. Sam Hartman, same thing. He's a senior. He'll
Yeah.
be out. But potentially, you're looking at 8 quarterbacks here that could
Mhm.
all be considered, at least from just a talent perspective alone, first round prospects. So
Yeah.
I mean, we could see as many as 8 to 10 guys go, the first 2 days of the
That's
draft,
crazy
I
to
would
think
think.
about. Yeah.
For sure, I would think at least 5 of them go in that first round just off the rip right now. Again, haven't watched the film, just going off of what I have seen throughout the season, thinking about all
Yeah,
these
true.
guys. But anyway, we say all this to go back to the point of why it's so important to have the number 1 pick. And so we're going to look at these teams in each conference, the 4 worst in each conference, the 4 teams that we kind of think probably not going to be playoff teams. Obviously, we think they'll be out of it. They may already be out of it, and or maybe looking ahead to the future for the number 1 pick this year.
Yeah.
So Joe, let's start in the NFC. Who are your 4 worst teams in the NFC right now? In order, I
So,
guess I should say.
okay, perfect. I wasn't sure if that's what you did as well on your notes, but I got the Panthers at being the worst, Bears the next worst, Giants, but I mean, if they get Daniel Jones back, I don't know how long he's out. And then with Saquon being back now, they could flip-flop here with the next team that I being the Cardinals.
Okay. I know the Panthers are the only winless team right now, but I actually think the Bears are the worst team in the NFL at this moment.
Oh, Justin Fields got hurt too. I forgot to mention that today. I saw that.
Yes, Justin Fields got hurt. I mean, quite frankly, he hasn't been very good. Other than the last 2 games, he was better, and he was having I guess an okay day against the Vikings today, and then got hurt. But just the Bears organization feels like there's so many negative things happening within it. I just
Yeah.
can't ignore. And I think in a game where if the Panthers and the Bears were to play, which they will, and that'll be a Thursday night football game later in the
Oh,
year, just
some
so
implications right there.
that'll be a big game. Not for the reasons we normally say it's a big game. But what's funny about it though is that the Bears own both picks, so
Yeah,
it
no,
doesn't
that's
really
for
matter
sure.
for the Bears. It actually isn't that big of a game, I guess then. But I just think the Bears are actually the worst team. They
Yeah.
put it together against the Commanders, and that was a big win for them. But I think they're the worst team in football right now. I think the Panthers are really close, and they're next. They've
Mhm.
just struggled to protect Bryce Young. He actually looked really good early today against the
They had 3
Dolphins,
tutties.
and then the Dolphins kind of pulled away.
Mhm.
The Panthers defense has been a disappointment so far this year. They were supposed to be better. Their offensive line has obviously been very bad. And then they don't have any weapons for Bryce Young. Trading DJ
Yeah,
Moore was a bigger
they got rid
deal.
of him.
Trading him was a bigger deal than people made it out to be, I think. And it's really hurt Bryce Young's development because he doesn't have a whole lot of guys to throw to right now that are difference makers.
And
Adam
then with
Thielen
that
has
trade
been
and the pick too, I mean, now you can't even go get another one, you know? It's
yeah.
tough.
Adam Thielen's been their best receiver, and he's a little bit older, and could be a functional number 2, but he's not. He should not be your number 1 receiver at this
Yeah,
point in
that's
his
for
career.
sure.
So I've got the Panthers next. I then have the Cardinals. The Cardinals have been scrappy in every game, but they wear down in the second half of every game they've
Yeah,
played. They've been outscored I think it was 54-7 in the fourth quarter going into today, and
yeah.
then the Rams
I saw that
scored
in the 4th.
another 7, or I think went 10-0 on them today, so that would make it 64-7 in the fourth quarter
Yeah,
of
that's
games
tough.
this year. So they've
Can't
played
close
tough against teams for 3 quarters in
and
almost
then
every
let
game
up.
they've played, and they get demolished in the fourth quarter. I think that's a function of them being so young. Josh Dobbs, he
Might not be the
struggled
guy
today
anymore.
it's in the second half he struggled. I mean, he threw a pick, he had a sack fumble,
Yeah.
should have thrown another pick that was dropped. So they don't have the weapons. They're bare bones. They're young. Now they compete hard, and that's why I think I respect them more than the Cardinals or the Bears right now.
Yeah, no, I
But
agree.
but they're just the talent level is not there. And then I have the Giants. This was kind
Which
of
is
a
pretty much what I said too. You could flip flop depending on Daniel Jones' return and Saquon being back now.
yeah. And I expected the Giants to take a step back, but their offensive line, my dad actually sent me a text today. Giants offensive line gives me PTSD with the Rams offensive line from the year before because that's what it looks like. They're on
That's tough. That was
their
not fun to
fifth
watch.
different starting O-line
Oh,
combo tonight. And the
that's
Rams had
cool.
whatever it was,
It was like
13 out of
13, I think. Yeah.
17 last year. The Giants are now 5 of 6. So the Giants are on a similar path right now
Yeah.
in terms of just injuries and poor play. That's what got Saquon and Daniel Jones. I mean, they're on a very similar trajectory to what the Rams were on last year, where it's just a tough year when you have so many injuries, especially up front. So the Giants look like they're in for a rough year, despite them playing very tough right now against the Bills. Again, looking very good so far tonight.
Yeah, and then I'll get into the AFC teams I went with. So at the bottom of the list, I have the Patriots as the worst team coming out the AFC, followed by the Titans, and the Broncos, and then the Raiders. Now I know people might say, "Hey, the Titans got a better record than the Broncos," but I do believe, as if they could figure out things on defense, I think they could be better because Russell Wilson isn't really a true problem. It's just they can't play a complete game with both sides of the ball. Either one struggles or it's both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does seem to be that has been the Broncos defense has been atrocious this year. I also
Mhm.
have the Patriots as the worst team in the AFC right now. They play tougher against the Raiders today.
Mhm.
It was a much more respectable showing, but their previous 2 games prior to that were awful. And
They wouldn't even show up.
Mac Jones is making his case to be the worst starter in the NFL right now.
Ooh,
Um, he
QB.
he he has been bad. And then today on 3rd and 15, down by 2,
Huh.
game on the line. And this actually is a little preview for our first award today, but he takes a safety in his own
Oh,
end zone. You can't, I mean, throw it away. Give
yeah.
yourself a shot on 4th and 15. His outlet is right there to his right, and he takes a safety instead of at least getting it to his
Dang.
outlet or throwing it away. You just can't do that. That's game over right there. So
Yeah,
they're out
that's
of
tough.
timeouts. Now you're down by 4, and you're going to boot it away to them, and the Raiders can just take knees and run it out. So
Run it out.
he didn't give his team a chance by not at least throwing it away or getting the ball out in the air. Instead, he takes a safety, and it's game over. So Mac
That
Jones,
is a
he's
tough
not
look.
it. They haven't even scored. I saw something crazy stat today. It was like they haven't even scored 70 points this year, and the Dolphins scored 70 points in a game.
Yeah.
Or they might have hit 70 during their game today.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah,
For the
either
year.
way.
Either way, it's taken them at least 6 games to
To
score
get to
what the
70.
Dolphins scored in 1 game.
Yeah. That
So
is
it's
tough.
just that the Patriots offense has been abysmal. Their defense is just struggling now that they played pretty well today, but the injuries. I mean,
Mhm. Yeah.
they've been crushed on defense with all of their best players getting hurt. So the Patriots, they're not good right now. My second worst team, I've got the Broncos.
Mhm.
Their defense can't stop a nosebleed.
Abysmal.
I mean, their defense is the worst in the NFL. It's the
Yeah.
worst in the league, and it's crazy because you look at that team and there's so much talent. Well, not anymore. They're going to start fire
Yeah.
sailing their guys. They're
True.
trading
Take
away.
what you can get. Yeah.
They're like, hey, Randy
Hey,
Gregory, here
Caleb.
you got him. Frank Clark is apparently going to be traded pretty quick here as well. Basically, anyone not named Pat Surtain on that defense is available for
Yeah.
trade. So,
Man, offense too. They talked about Judy, possibly probably Cortland Sutton even. I don't know.
yeah, and so you make the trades on some of the talented guys that they have. You trade them away, and you get even younger. And the way the
Yeah.
season has started, I think the Broncos are the second worst team. I then have the Raiders as third worst. I know they're 3-3, and Raiders fans
Uh-huh.
are excited, and they don't want to hear this right now. But that it's a fool's gold 3-3. Their 3 wins are the Broncos, the
Mhm.
Patriots, and the Packers.
Yeah.
So they're 2 of their 3 wins are against 2 of the other worst teams in the AFC, the 2 worst teams in the AFC based on
Yeah.
my thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's a fool's gold 3-3. I don't see them winning very many games the rest of the way. maybe they got another shot when they play the Broncos again.
True.
It was a good win against the Packers. I'll give them that. But I think 6-10 is their 6-11 is their ceiling.
Top.
So that
Yeah.
means maybe 3 wins the rest of the way. I don't even know that they get that. And then
Yeah.
lastly, I've got the Titans. I think losing Ryan Tannehill today, despite how not great he's been. I mean, Malik Willis was even worse when he came in. Clearly, Will Levis is not ready.
Yeah,
or they would.
My thoughts exactly.
So it makes them worse. They could potentially be worse if Ryan Tannehill does not come back. But still have Derrick Henry. There's still some good things that they can do, and they've been able to win some games this year that I didn't think they could win, or at least be in them.
Still keeps them honest.
And their defense is still pretty good. So I don't think they're quite as bad as the other 3 teams we just talked about in the AFC, but someone's got to be the 4th worst, and it's them.
Yeah, true. So yeah, it looks like we got similar train of thoughts, pretty much, honestly.
Who do you think is going to have the number 1 pick? That's the real question.
I think it's the Bears, or my other long shot was going to be they traded away to someone, and I guess it would be the 2nd pick, right? Because that's technically theirs, and not the first one because it was traded to them. Is that how that works? Or could you still trade that one even though you got
they could trade it.
Okay.
They could trade it if they wanted to.
So yeah, my guess is the Bears, they hold on to it and trade one of the 2. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Broncos, they go up for Caleb. I seen a video on Sean Payton talking about how he thinks he was like the greatest thing since sliced bread coming out of college.
Yeah.
And it's kind of playing out. I sent that video to Johnny and it was wild. He was on the Herd. I don't know if you've seen that too.
Yeah, that was from last year when he took his year off.
Yeah.
Here's my thought. I mean, the first pick is likely going to go to the Bears because the fact that they own the Panthers pick, and them and the Panthers have 2 of the 3 or 4 worst records in the league right now. It doubles their chances compared to everyone else of getting it. And I think if they get it, they keep it this time. I don't think they trade it away. I think they likely would be willing to trade Justin Fields this time around and draft Caleb Williams and keep the 2nd pick and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and get 2 of the best players in college football right now.
Yeah.
Put them on that Bears offense and say, let's see if we're any good now. But I think that makes them the most likely team to get it. However, I do think the Broncos are a dark horse simply because they're already trading guys.
Yeah.
They're already willing to get rid of these dudes. And then I could see Sean Payton sitting Russell Wilson down midway through the year and playing the young guy that they brought over from the Raiders. What's his name?
I had him last year on one of my.
I'm blanking right now. He's out of Auburn. I can see his face. Jarrett Stidham.
There you go. Yeah.
But they could play Stidham, and he might actually be better than Russ, to be quite frank. I don't know at this point, but I could see Sean Payton saying, "I have the cachet as a head coach to tank and then go get Caleb Williams and be much better next year." So I would say that the Broncos are a sneaky dark horse, like true tank team to go get it.
Doubt.
So
especially after trade rumors.
Bears or Broncos would be my pick.
No, I agree. But now we get out the negative talk of who we think isn't the best in the league. Let's get into some positives right here with our Tukwa Gamer of the Week. The man, the myth, the legend himself. Let's see. Do you want to start it off? Or you want me to start it off?
Oh, I can start it off.
Start it off? Yeah, well, you kind of touched on it. I'll let you get in.
This includes 2 of our worst teams in the AFC, but I mentioned the negative of Mac Jones taking the safety. We're going to go to the guy who got the safety. The gamer of the week is Maxx Crosby. That's Max with 2 X's, by the way. The Raiders are not a great football team, as I said, but they're somehow 3-3 despite awful QB play this season. They've played 3 different quarterbacks. They've all been bad. Maxx Crosby is consistently a big reason why, and today he was a gamer when they needed him to be. Not only did he have 7 tackles, a hit on the quarterback, but he also got the game-sealing safety on Mac Jones to end it. Guy's a gamer in every sense of the word. I think our former head coach, Tuchel, would be proud of Max Crosby.
I mean, yeah, no doubt. He'd be extra proud, bro. No, that's a true statement if I've ever heard one. He would think that's the right decision, you know what I mean? But
He's a freaking gamer.
but for me, I think I might have had this guy in the past. Maybe he was my dog, but this guy took over the game in like the third quarter. I'm going with Kyren Williams from the Rams. He took a whole drive from like, I don't know, maybe the 50, maybe even before, like a 60-yard drive. He just ran the ball all the way down, ended it with the tutty. My dude went 20 carries, 158 yards, and a touchdown. Just straight ate up the clock that second half. And basically, I had given up on the guy. I had him on fantasy. And after, well, I think 2 weeks ago when they got Coop back, I was like, they're not running the ball no more. But here we are. The man is here. Tuchel Gamer of the Week, Kyren Williams.
Let's go. All right. We got to get to your dog of the week.
Yes,
Who's
sir.
your dog? Oh, we got a special one this week.
Yeah, this is a first, never before done. You know I like doing those. And we're going double dog this week. And so this comes from the same game for two dudes. The first one's going to be Trent Williams. I don't know if you saw them get into that scrap before the game started. My man's always with the smoke in any game.
Always
you gotta love it. Yeah, he came out of nowhere, pushed the dude, and then they kind of like broke up. They're like, "Oh, the big dog's here. Let's get out of here." But the other one from that game is going to be David Njoku. Now I don't know if you've seen I thought. See, I don't want to disrespect the man, but when he came in with the mask a couple weeks back, I thought he was embracing October. I didn't know the circumstances.
You didn't know about the burns. Yeah.
No, I did not. And so once he put out that picture of his face, bro, that man is tough as nails. That's crazy. My man's playing games right now with that on. I don't know how it feels, but I could tell you that's a true dog to go out there and still grind with the team, especially a couple days after it happens. Double dog this week.
Did you hear his reasoning for why he posted it?
No, I did not.
So he said that he was getting a lot of commentary from other burn victims that essentially said they had, they were ashamed of, basically their burns. And so he decided he would put his out on social media to kind of represent all those people who were, so ashamed of their tough burns. And he put his out there to be like, yo, it's okay.
It's life. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool too. The fact that he is like trying to,
be a voice,
give voice to those people. I mean, I think that was really cool.
I mean, it's definitely tough.
And I'm sure it was not an easy thing for him to do, because I'm sure anytime you put something on social media, there's always negative commentary that can come from it. And so I'm sure he got some of that, but what he did from a positivity standpoint way outweighs that.
Grander scheme. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the double dog from the Browns Niners game.
Love it. Just give you a quick update on the Sunday Night Football game. The Giants have the ball at the start of the third quarter. They're approaching midfield. However, the Bills appear to have dodged a bullet. It was 2nd and goal with 15 seconds left in the first half. The Giants ran the ball with Saquon and were not able to get on it and spike it to preserve the field goal.
They had no timeouts?
They had no timeouts. They stopped. They got stopped at the 1. Tyrod Taylor couldn't get them organized quick enough to actually get the spike before the half. Obviously, Brian Daboll was considerably angry at the veteran quarterback going into halftime. They showed that, and so that's what we missed as we were on here. But they're still playing really well. They've still got the ball. 13 minutes left to go in the third quarter, up 6-0, 2nd and 10, approaching midfield. So Bills look like they maybe dodged a bullet. Maybe this game should be a wider margin than it is, at least 2 possessions, but it's still a 1-possession game right now. Yep.
Bet. Let's see.
All right.
Oh, that's where we're at. Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the minor setback, major comeback award you got this week? What did you see that you think people could bounce back from?
So we're going back to the well, and we've talked about this game considerably, this week. 49ers Browns. I mean, it was a big game. so we can't not talk about it.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to that game. My minor setback for a major comeback is the 49ers defense. Give you some quick stats on that game today. They gave up 334 yards, including 160 on the ground to the Browns with their backup quarterback. Just something you would not have expected in that game.
And
They
Kareem
allowed
Hunt.
PJ Walker to drive the Browns down for the game-winning field goal. They let the Browns possess the ball for over 33 minutes of the game.
Ooh,
So despite creating those two
a little over half.
takeaways, it was not a typical day for that 49ers defense that has been arguably the best in the league. I would expect them to bounce back next week, though, against the Vikings and Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football. So minor setback, major comeback, 49ers defense.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting to watch. Like I said, Kareem Hunt balled out later in the game. I think Jerome Ford got hurt a little bit. He was still playing, but wasn't necessarily the go-to back late in that. But looks like we're going to take it to the NCAA for this no cap hats off. So what was unbelievable or that we wouldn't believe happening in this game?
All right, no cap hats off. It really wasn't a play necessarily as it was just the game in general. I talked about Michael Penix Jr. likely took the lead for the Heisman. I think most people would have said coming into this week that Caleb Williams was on track to win it back-to-back. He had a shaky performance against Notre Dame, throws 3 picks, and just before that, Michael Penix Jr. was a dog against Oregon. An absolute he is him moment at the end of the game in order to win it. So to set the stage, this was a back and forth affair early on. Oregon went for 2 on their first touchdown to go up 8-7.
Okay.
UW scores to make it 14-8. Oregon scores to make it 15-14. UW scores to make it and gets the 2 point to make it 22-15. Oregon kicks the field goal 22-18. Then there's a couple stops at the end of the half, including UW getting a goal line stand right before halftime to go into halftime with the lead. Dang. They then score to start the second half. They're up 29-18. Well, then Oregon comes roaring back. They end up taking the lead at one point, 33-29. All right?
Yeah.
So we're at the end of the game. Both teams have played really well. Oregon's gotten a goal line stand as well to match UW's earlier in the game. They're up by 4, 33-29. Both teams have been very aggressive on fourth down throughout. Both defenses have gotten some critical stops, but not been able to stop the other team consistently. We got a 4th and 3 right around midfield.
Yeah.
Oregon goes for it. Now, UW had not stopped their run game all day.
Yeah.
I agreed with the call by Dan Lanning to go for it. I disagreed with the play call, though. They tried to throw it on like a little rollout. I wish they would have ran the ball. I think they would have been able to get it had they run it. Washington could not stop the run.
The game away.
And so they didn't get it. Michael Penix Jr. goes all the way down. He scores in like 3 plays, of course. Leaves way too much time, though, for Oregon, down 36-33. Bo Nix has his own he is him moment, drives them all the way down the field, gets them in field goal range. But what do college kickers love to do? Miss game-tying or game-winning field goals, and their kicker did in the rain on the road at UW. Oregon falls 36-33. One of the best, if not the best, college football game I've watched this year.
Yeah, no, we'll see. We'll get into this one a little later too. That one hurt me. But the next thing we'll get into our Strahan Munoz Award. I'll just jump right in. I've talked about this guy already, Trent Williams. It comes back to the toughness. We mentioned that, he got hurt his ankle in that first quarter. 3 minutes left in that first quarter. He comes back in the second quarter after the rest of their drive, and then when the Browns had their drive, that he came back in the next drive they have themselves. And I mean, he did great. He had 1 flag on him today. It was a holding. I kind of disagreed with it from what I saw. He had like a bad angle on the dude and he threw his hands up, but they still called it on him. There was one I saw they could have had earlier in the game. It was on that Christian McCaffrey touchdown. He did actually have a hold there, but it wasn't seen. And then other than that, he had just 1 assist. He was guarding Myles Garrett all day. I mean, or not all day, but for the most part. And for only allowing one assisted tackle to that guy. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, Trent Williams is my Strahan Munoz Award winner today. As I've talked to him about him today too, just all around, always with the smoke in general.
Yeah, Trent Williams, probably the number one draft pick of he wants the smoke. Like if you just said like which guy actually wants the smoke, Trent Williams is
Yeah,
probably number one. Never would run away from a fight. I think he would be
never.
like in another life. I feel like
Scariest
he
man
could
out
have
there.
been the heavyweight boxing champion of the world if he wanted to be. You know what I mean? Like
Probably.
that's how like nimble he is, despite
No,
how
yeah, everyone talks
massive
about him
he
dunking and
is.
doing crazy things. That man's a
Yeah,
beast.
like one of the craziest athletes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
To go to the other side of the ball, though, on our Strahan Munoz Big Fella Award, a guy who, maybe I gave him this award because I just want to pat myself on the back. Third round pick of the Rams, a guy who I
Yep.
said before he was drafted by the Rams that he would be a very good rookie, a little bit older, 25, had some real life experience before getting to Tennessee, dominated when he was at Tennessee in the SEC,
Mhm.
is now playing great ball in the NFL for the Rams as basically their best edge pass rusher. Byron Young had himself an awesome performance against the Cardinals. He continues to have an active rookie season.
Yeah, he's
Um,
balling.
Guy had 6 tackles today, 2 quarterback hits, and then he, kind of had a game-changing sack fumble that basically ended any chance of the Cardinals having, a comeback
Yeah.
today. I mean, that's his sack fumble secured a field goal for the Rams that made it a 3-possession game under 5 minutes left. So it was game over once he did that. And, I think he's going to be a major part of what they like to do moving forward. If they're going to make a run to the playoffs, Byron Young's going to have more sacks and more plays like that. And
Yeah.
he played well today.
Especially that combination with him and AD. AD could plug up the middle, everyone's on him, and let him run free on the edge. So yeah, definitely love that kid. I was talking to Fish about it when we were there last week. I was like, bro, this guy's out of Tennessee, right? Because there was 2 last year we talked about, and I had to make
Yeah.
sure I knew. So
Yeah.
right now when you're going, I was like, and he's out of, but you had said it, so I didn't have to bring it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. We got our QB award, the Who's Cooking. Are we whipping up some, some scallops, or are we whipping up a dumpster fire? We got the, what's it? What is it? What's that one show? It's got the dog where he's got the plate on fire in the background. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. I feel like it starts with the F. But anyways, my Who's Cooking award's gonna go to Gardner Minshew. He ain't cooking up much. You know what I mean? He had a tough day. I mean, part of the reason I have this man here is because the Colts, they're just missing that guy, Anthony Richardson, man.
Who,
You
by the
get
way, just a quick aside, Anthony Richardson is considering having season-ending shoulder surgery, and it may
Yep,
be
I
Gardner
did see
Minshew the
that.
rest of the way.
Exactly.
It's
That's why this
big
man is
news.
here at the spot. So Gardner Minshew. Now my man was slinging the rock all over the place. 33 for 55, 329 yards, 1 touchdown. Now here's the bad. 3 picks, had a fumble. Not good for the man. And like I said, this is where you get into questionable things. You got Anthony Richardson possibly taking the rest of the year to heal up, get that surgery on that shoulder. And this is what you're looking at going forward. It's not going to be pretty, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying this guy's done it the past like 3-4 years now. Coming in, he did it in Jacksonville, went to the Colts, and he was good to come in a game here and there. Maybe they're in the lead, he holds it out, But if you're gonna have the whole year with the guy, this is where you're looking like, man, we had a fun year with Anthony Richardson the first 5 games, and maybe 4 because I think he sat 1 week for being hurt.
Yeah.
And then now you're just back to having to go with the run game, Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor, and hopefully Gardner Minshew could complete a pass here and there. Maybe you got to get a 3rd and long or something.
Well,
So
it is funny that like we've made the Anthony Richardson, the Cam Newton comps.
yeah,
Cam Newton struggled with his shoulder like for most of his career being messed up. And now Anthony Richardson's just following the same track. it's such a bummer because as a rookie, these reps are so valuable, and he looked
Oh
really
yeah.
good. And now he's going to miss out on at least 4 games, and you hope not the rest of the season, but it kind of
Yeah.
looks like it might be leaning that way. And golly, that's just tough for Anthony Richardson, and it's
Oh
a tough
yeah. You
spot
gotta
for
have the
Gardner Minshew.
longevity. Yeah. So yeah. Unfortunately, the man's not cooking up much, but here he is.
A guy who was chefing up, he was making a Detroit masterpiece down there in Tampa. Jared Goff, a guy who 2 years ago people had kind of left for dead when he was traded to
Yeah.
the Rams, and instead he's in his 3rd year with the Lions, and he's having one of his best years of his career. Arguably a dark horse MVP guy at this point.
Yeah.
Not a lot of
He's doing good.
hype for him, but the Lions are now 5-1, and Jared Goff is
Mm-hmm.
playing extremely well. He was my number 10 guy in my QB tier. He went 30 for 44 today, 353 yards and 2 touchdowns, no INTs. He led the Lions to
Amon-Ra
a
back too.
huge road W. Yeah, Amon-Ra, the sun god,
Yeah.
and a share of first place in the NFC through 6 weeks. Cooking
Mhm.
up a masterpiece over there. Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, along with
Yep.
Ben Johnson and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta and Jameson Williams,
He's
who's
back.
back,
He caught a tutty.
and
Yep.
Josh Reynolds and all the guys he loves to throw to there in Detroit. Big game for them and big win for Jared Goff.
Yeah, no doubt. It was definitely. I saw him, Jameson Williams score, and I was like, oh, he's back. He's out there, back on the squad.
They look
So
good.
yeah, that's for sure. So the next one, we got your favorite award out of all these ones.
Mhm.
We got the Boo
kinda
Boo
bummed.
Evans Award. Huh?
I'm bummed with who's getting this week.
Oh, I mean, hey, it's only fitting. I feel bad for the guy, but I have something I want to say on it. And I'm sad. I had a joke I was gonna say. I didn't write it down. I was gonna change the boo boo to something else. I don't.
Moo Moo?
Oh well. No. It was gonna be like, maybe it was the Evans I was gonna change. I don't remember. It was before. I didn't write it down, sadly. So no jokes for you guys today. But today, the Boo Boo Evans Award is gonna go to Jake Moody. Now, if you don't know that name off the top of your head, that's gonna be the kicker out of the Niners. And so, mind you, they both had missed a field goal in the game. The Browns kicker and Jake Moody. But Jake Moody missed another one at the end of the game that would have given them the lead to win the game. So they had that long drive. They get it down. I think 8 seconds left. They spike it. Bring out the squad because, you don't want to risk any other plays. Bring out the kicking squad. My man misses right. Tough day. So he went 1 for 3 on field goals and then had his extra points from the touchdowns. Just a tough day for the kid. But 2 missed field goals. Where's my guy John Barron at, man? Bring him in.
So the reason this pains me is because this guy was known as Jake Money Moody at Michigan.
Oh.
Won multiple games for the Michigan Wolverines in his career there. I think it was like 97% or something like that on his
Wow.
field goals. He was unreal. He was a great kicker. The game against Illinois that I went to last year, he made like 6 field goals. I mean, they won the game 19-17. So he made like 4 or 5 field goals, including the game winner.
Yeah.
In frigid conditions from almost the same spot he missed today to win the game against Illinois last year and keep Michigan undefeated. He was actually a draft pick for the 49ers. That's how good he was.
Oh.
They never draft
Yeah.
kickers. They drafted him because that's how good he was coming out of Michigan. And he'd been good so far. His first 5 games, he'd been pretty money, as his name would suggest. But not today. Money Moody misses a kick. I feel bad for Money Moody. He's a dog. However, so extremely excited the 49ers took an L. So mixed feelings on that one.
Yeah. No, I bet. Let's see. Now, for the fun part, if you're listening, make sure you tune in to the YouTube right here because we got our turnover on downs right here. First down, we got TB bringing you a trend going on around the league, and he'll bring in some film for you guys to see to check out what he's talking about.
You already know, my friend. We got some good stuff cooked up for you today. So, this year, in terms of first down trends, or my first down, looking at trends
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
league, not just specifically first down trends, but just trends in general. We focused a lot on offensive motions. It just seems
Yeah,
like
it's
the
been big this
NFL
year.
play caller of this generation has gotten so creative with the way that they use motion. We talked a lot about how the Dolphins are using Tyreek Hill and those kind of cheap motions. The way the Rams are using Tutu Atwell on those cheap motions.
Yeah.
We talked about the way the 49ers are using Christian McCaffrey on, short motion out of the backfield to get him into an
Outside.
option route.
Mhm.
So just all kinds of different ways that teams are using motion. A lot of those for right now have been in the pass game. Well, I'm going to give you some interesting motions the Rams
Oh.
used today against the Cardinals in the run game. So one of the things that the Rams have always valued since Sean McVay got there is receivers being able to block
Block.
like
Yeah.
fullbacks, right? That was one of the things that made Robert Woods extremely valuable in the Sean McVay offense. It's one of the things that makes Cooper Kupp extremely
Mhm.
valuable in the McVay offense. You have to have, two of those guys who really can play in the slot, but will go in and block and do the dirty work because they love to stay in 11 personnel. And they really don't bring fullbacks in the game to do that, like maybe the 49ers or the Dolphins
Yeah.
or even the Lions might, right? Teams that run kind of similar styles of offense. The Rams do it with their receivers. And the guy who's been doing that dirty work this year has been Puka Nacua. People love what he's doing in the receiving game. Doesn't get as much credit as a blocker right now. And you'll see the Rams came out at halftime today. They had 5 yards rushing at halftime,
Yeah.
right? And they ended the
Yeah.
game with like 175 yards rushing, with
Mhm.
a huge chunk of that coming in the second half. And really a big chunk of it coming on the first drive. You mentioned it, Kyren Williams, your dog of the week. You
Yeah.
can see on this drive alone, I think he had like 65 yards rushing on one drive. And a big part of that, though, was the way the Rams were motioning into the run game. So you'll see Puka Nacua is going in motion right now. He's going to motion into the line of scrimmage, and the Rams are going to run like a split
Like a
zone look.
counter.
They'll well, they're gonna it's zone blocking up front. They're
Uh-huh.
gonna block out with the tight end, and then Puka's gonna lead up the backside C gap so that if Kyren Williams wants to cut back, he's got a lead blocker there.
Mm.
And now
Okay.
they have
Yeah.
numbers where everyone can seal it front side. And the zone blocking works to perfection, and you end up getting a 17-yard run. Now, the great part about that motion is it also runs across defenders' faces. So watch what happens when they're in the box. See how these guys all bump over, but then you run back where the motion came from. So not only
Yeah.
are you giving yourself a cutback lane with that lead blocker, but you're also forcing the defense to respect that motion and go away from the front side run. This is the very next play on that same drive. They run that same motion,
Same
and you'll
thing.
see
Yeah.
it's illegal for that motion to actually go into the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped. So the Rams really work on timing there, getting that ball snapped right as he's about to go towards the line of scrimmage to become that lead blocker. Here they go again, the next play, second down. Same thing, Puka motion in. Now you see he hits it front side again, right? And you saw the second one, he hit it backside behind Puka Nacua. He
Uh-huh.
goes back to the front side on that one. And they ran that basically 6, 7 plays in a row with that motion, and it was killing the Cardinals today. They really didn't have an answer. And I would imagine that teams are going to really start game planning that. Something I've seen the Rams do more this year than they ever have. I've seen it a little bit from the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Um,
that's for
there's
sure.
a couple other teams that are going to start using this. You'll see more and more just being creative with how they're using motions, not just in the pass game, but to create effective runs for yourself, to give you that extra blocker, to move defenders right before the snap, and then you hit it where they came from. You give yourself cutback. There's so many different options once you do that.
Yeah, that's for
It's
sure.
brilliant offense from McVay. And I think it's part of what helped the Rams run game get going in the second half today.
Yeah, one other thing I want to mention real quick that I saw in the game, Kyren Williams, we got to give credit for him actually using his mouthpiece. I'm sure you saw it where his helmet came off and it was stuck to
Yes.
his mouth from the binky. There's plenty of dudes, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They just let the binky hang. It's just like an accessory to them, you know. But that when you're running the ball like that, you got to use it to protect the head, you know. That's for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, second down on this turnover downs is me giving you the bet for next week. So last week I kind of dropped the ball a little bit, did a little sprinkle early on. I missed my bet. It's first one of the year, you know. But that's not what defines me. It's how we bounce back. So we missed on the Falcons Commanders over 42. It was 40 today, 24-16, as I mentioned earlier. Now, I will say, I don't want to make excuses, but last week was the first time I ever had to pick the bet on the spot. I had them all written down, but I didn't select one. So here we are this week. I got Buffalo versus New England, -9.5. I like that one.
Okay.
We talked about the New England not being the best team in the AFC. Although they are at home, I believe. Next game we're looking at is going to be Cleveland versus the Colts. Cleveland is -2, as I brought up with Minshew. Not looking pretty over there. If it was Anthony Richardson -2, you know, maybe. But Cleveland D is looking good too. Next one I got for you, Niners versus the Vikings on the over 44.5. The Vikings, their offense is insane. Defense, not so much. Niners, both sides of the ball are great. So either the Niners carry this to over 44.5, or they both do their fair share of scoring, and it's gonna hit easy money.
I will say, I think the Vikings defense is getting better every week. Just putting it out there. Brian Flores is doing some good stuff there. They're getting better every week. It's just not quite there yet.
There we go. Some things to look forward to in Minnesota. Some future. And my last one I took a look at today is Lions-Ravens over 43.5. Now the Ravens, they haven't hit an over in I don't know how long, maybe since the first game. But the Lions, same way I feel about the Niners-Vikings, Lions might just carry that up there, make it a shootout, and force the Ravens to throw the ball a little more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or maybe the Ravens take over and just run it, and you know. But the Lions D, we do like them a lot. And so my choice for the week, we're going Cleveland versus the Colts -2. I think that one's a no-brainer. I mean, they did it today. That was the final score to that game.
I like that.
And as I mentioned with Gardner Minshew not looking good, PJ Walker, I think, you know, he's got some fun packs to him. He's looking good. So that's my choice for this week. Cleveland -2 versus the Colts.
I like it. Quick update on that Sunday Night Football game. Going into the fourth quarter, the Giants have had back-to-back stops on the goal line. It's 3rd and goal for the Bills, still 6-0. Huge play to start the fourth quarter. Huge. All right. We're going to go to the third down breakdown. I break down a critical third down from this week that, you know, either won or potentially lost a game and really decided a game. And we're going to the Philly and
the Jets.
The Jets game. Yeah. This Jets defense, again, down their 2 starting corners. You know, they don't have Aaron Rodgers. They're 2-3. They faced so much adversity this year. They're playing in the undefeated Eagles, whose offense has seemingly been unstoppable. And yet they get the win today. And I'm going to show you exactly why. It's 3rd and 9, 2 minutes left. The Jets have used all their timeouts. The Eagles are up 2. The Eagles can just get a first down and salt this game away, right?
Yeah, 3rd and long, though.
If you're the Eagles, you're thinking, okay, well, worst case scenario, we punt it away and make Zach Wilson drive the length of the field because this is going to be
drill, no
a good punt for a 2-minute drill, no timeouts, right? So this Jets defense not only comes up with a stop, but basically wins the game on this play because they nearly score on their interception, and then the Eagles let them score on the next play to give themselves a shot to try and go back and tie it. Right? Or win it with a touchdown. But so the Eagles are going to run these deep curls at the sticks with comebacks on the outside. Now the Jets show pressure with 6-7 guys around the box. However, they're going to drop out, and you're going to see they're going to play 4 under 3 deep. This defender over the slot is the flat player. This defender standing in the opposite A gap is going to become the hook player. This defender standing in the B gap becomes the flat player over there. And this defender stacked behind him in the B gap becomes the hook defender here. You'll have the corner who's showing like a press look. He's going to bail out and be the cover 3 corner. Same thing down here, cover 3 corner. And then this safety who's kind of sitting in the curl window is going to bail out and become the middle of the field player. So you get kind of a simulated pressure look from the Jets, who are all going to drop out and play 4 under 3 deep, cover 3, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is thinking, okay, I got to get the ball to one of my playmakers. It's 3rd and 9. I'm going to try and get the ball to Dallas Goedert here in the slot. Watch it. They drop out, right? You still get a decent pass rush from the Jets, but Eagles O-line is very good, so they hold up for Hurts. However, Hurts takes a 10-yard drop and drifts away from the throw. Throws a pick to the hook defender trying to hit Goddard in the slot. The defender runs it all the way back to the 8-yard line, eventually setting up eventually sets up a Breece Hall touchdown where the Eagles let him score under 2 minutes, only 2 timeouts. They didn't have the ability to stop the clock enough where if you kick the field goal, they would leave themselves time. So instead, they let them score and kept their 2 timeouts and tried to go back and, tie it or win it. That defense caused 4 turnovers. All right, Here's a great look at it. Hurts knows he wants Goddard in the slot. He sees the leverage of the flat defender drop away, and he thinks he can fit it in there.
Yep.
But really, there's a hook defender sitting on this, and you can see the Fox broadcast does a really good job of showing you what Hurts is looking at. He thinks he's got, Goddard, but really Goddard's in the vice grip. You can see he really doesn't have anywhere to go because you've got the corner on top. You've got the flat defender sitting underneath A.J. Brown over here. You've got the corner on top, the flat defender sitting underneath Devontae Smith over here.
Their back is guarding right there.
Yeah, and Pascal is also in the similar situation that Goddard is, where he really doesn't have anywhere to throw. Hurts' best option probably would have been to try to scramble through this lane here. However, he tries to fit it in, backpedaling off his back foot, momentum way away from the throw. Easy interception by the Jets. Poor decision from Jalen Hurts, which we're not used to seeing, and cost the Eagles the game.
Yeah, that's okay, did you ever play the Madden where they had the little line of sight thing?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that reminded me right there, where they had that red highlight. That's pretty funny. But so 4th down on this turnover on downs is my bad beat. Now, so I don't talk about it much. I don't really keep up with NCAA. I have watched more of it this year just because I got Saturdays off now. So college football, you touched on it on that no cap, hats off. I had the Oregon winning that game, so they're up, like you said, 33-29. They need that 4th down to win. When you get that 1st down, you just run out the clock. Didn't happen. Like you said, they let him go down the field. I believe it was 3 plays. Get a tutty, and then you can't come back and make that field goal on the flip side to force OT. So your boy was hurting on that one. That was the only one I missed this week.
Yeah.
So it was just tough to watch. And I told Johnny about it today. He goes, you should have known it's Oregon. Which I'm assuming. I think I'm assuming he meant was, Pac-12. Someone's bound to lose in a brutal way.
It is a classic Pac-12 event. I mean, exactly. It also means that because Oregon and USC lost this week, UW won. They have the inside track.
Yeah,
UW's probably going to lose. UW's probably going to lose in the next couple weeks because it's the Pac-12, and this is just what happens to them.
Although there's a lot of teams up there in the Pac-12 in the last year of its survival.
So, on the bad beat note, I did want to give a shout out to our guy Chase, who told me about
what happened this week.
Yeah, he told me this one was a good beat for him, bad beat for somebody else.
Okay, yeah.
So he was watching Florida, South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina goes up 27-17 with 8 minutes left. He had South Carolina covering 3.5, plus 3.5, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, well, they're winning by 10. They're not going to lose by 4 at this point, right?
Yeah.
Although if you did the math, 2 touchdowns would mean they lose by 4. So you guessed it. What happens? Florida scores 2 touchdowns to go up by 4. But on the 2-minute drill, South Carolina quarterback, he's another one. Spencer Rattler is another quarterback who come out this year that has a lot of talent. He's very up and down. I don't think he's a first rounder by any means, but he's another guy who could get drafted as a project. Anyway, Spencer Rattler throws an interception.
Okay.
With like just over enough time that I think Florida determined, in their first 3 downs, they couldn't run out the clock. So on 4th down, Florida is kind of pinned deep and they're trying to run out the clock to end the game.
Running around.
And they run around and take a safety.
Oh.
Which takes it from a 4-point game
to a 2-point
game. And now it's back to South Carolina covering. Yeah. And he wins the bet.
That is tough. I mean, that's good for him.
Great beat for him.
You gotta love the bread, but yeah, no doubt. So that's a good one. I like to come in on this one from you. That was definitely a lot better than my story, considering we heard it.
I did not watch that one live, but he told me about it, and he was thrilled. So
yeah, no, I bet.
Good for our guy. And also, by the way, Buffalo did score on the goal line. Now 7-6 at the beginning of the 4th quarter. So good game going on there in Buffalo.
Well, but
last thing of the week, what you got for the banger?
We got the banger of the week. It's my week this year. I've told you I haven't been watching much. I haven't really found no new music, but this past week I went on the search. I knew it was out somewhere, didn't know where. Fast X. I don't know if you kept up with that series from the beginning of time. There's 10 of them now. It's pretty wild. The last 3 or 4 are all crazy. They got a bunch of fake stuff in there, not really believable. But Fast X, the newest one, I found it. It's on Peacock. So if you got that, you can go check it out. I did like this one a lot better than the ones in recent times.
Okay.
Jason Momoa's in it. He had kind of a weird part. He was like a crazy dude who seemed like, he could swing both ways if he wanted to. And it was just, it was a lot more believable. There was some fake stuff still, right? There's a part where
always is.
This dude, he hooks up to this little bar that raises stuff, on high rises, how they build them. This dude, Mr. Family, Vin Diesel, flies at it, hits something. It hits a wrecking ball, which causes, or it's not a wrecking ball, it's a bomb that's rolling around. Hits that into the water, saves the day. And then there's another part later on. He takes out a helicopter somehow. I don't remember, but crazy stuff. But that was only 2 things in there, which made it a lot more enjoyable than the 8 and 9 ones, because those were going to space, and doing crazy stuff. But no, the plot was really good. It was like Jason Momoa is taking over the town. They're splitting this one up into 2, maybe 3 movies. I don't remember, but
okay.
It was definitely a lot more enjoyable than the ones in recent time, and I have been wanting to watch it. The next one on my list I want to find is Gran Turismo, though. I heard that one's really good.
Yeah, that is a good one.
You seen it?
Yes, it is a good one.
Oh, okay. I need to go find it.
Yeah. I just would like to say that Saquon Barkley has taken over in Buffalo.
Oh.
He's got the Giants near the red zone now. They got a critical 3rd and 4 though here, with 12 and a half to go in the game. So just want to give you that update. And if you saw my face, it was not about Fast X. It was about Saquon going nuts.
It's perfectly fine.
I do love your banger of the week. It's always good to hear some good new content ideas. Oh, Tyrod Taylor gets the first down, scrambles for it. Wow. What a ball play. Oh, there's a flag. Who knows what this is going to be. Hopefully not holding on the Giants. But
that's my best guess.
Could be that. Could be holding on the Bills too. It was on the Bills. Play stands. Giants get a first down. All right. So that's it for us tonight. We have to leave this podcast not knowing the outcome of Giants Bills. We're waiting on hand and foot. We're going to go watch that game now. Everyone else, enjoy your week. Yeah. Look forward to football week 7. Hopefully I'm coming on here happy on Sunday because we won another district game.
Friday dub.
And Jody, have a great week. We love all the listeners. Thanks for supporting. You guys are awesome. Take us out,
Love
Ray
you
Ray.
guys. Peace.